Okay, so what was the journey or decision point for you to move back?
Oh man, that was an interesting journey. So I remember first my dad coming in, about 4 years before I moved. And he's like, Peter, the Africa you left is not the Africa that we have now. Come join us, we'll be like, no, don't believe you, fake news. Yeah, and we spent time talking about kind of the possibility of, coming back to the continent. Then, he left. He's like, okay, screw you. Then about a year later, my sister and brother came to visit. Actually, the whole family came to visit. And my brother, so I have a brother who spent most of his 20s in the UK. And I have a brother who spent most of his 20s in Kenya.
Interesting.
And when we met, the brother who was in Kenya was outspending us 3-1. I'm like, where is this money coming from? It's like, these are the things I'm doing. This is the business I'm in. And I'm like, what do you mean that you can, so it took actually, my dad couldn't convince me, but it took my sister and my brother to come and say, you know what, we're doing really cool stuff in Africa right now. So that's one thing. Second is this is a long time before Black Lives Matters, there are things that just don't gel. You hit glass ceilings, you have interactions with police. I mean, I just had some especially the last year, it was just, I think the universe was telling me, you don't belong, so, yeah. I decided, okay, let me go and belong somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I've been to 41 countries. I can say as a matter of fact that Africa is a great place to live. Nairobi specifically, and some people know this, not many people say, it's a top 10 city globally for expats. Right? Because you come here, you live in Gigiri or Lavington, the cost of living is not that high compared to what you would do anywhere else. You're an hour away from kite surfing in Diani or Malindi or wherever you want to do. You have the Aberdares and Masai Mara, and I mean, it's just such a fabulous place. The temperatures 24 degrees all year long. Private schools, it's a place that ambassadors don't want to leave. True. Right? So, why suffer through a bunch of winters when you can do this? Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were there any surprises when you moved back, in the transition? Any challenges, and how did you overcome those?
Yes, there is a cockiness that comes from being in the West, right? We know, right? And I had to tuck in my chain, because you come and realize, what, people have figured things out. There are things that are annoying, but people have figured out how to, deal with their annoyances, and they thrive, And actually, this has served me well, because I've started becoming someone who looks for chaos, So if it's Lagos, if it's Bombay, show me some chaos and I can put a little money and create a $1 billion business in fixing the chaos, So I guess if you want to live in a place where everything works, Africa might not be, but I always admire the people who make things work. You watch movies, New York in the 60s wasn't like a place like today, right? But there are the people who said, okay, make those parks, pave those sidewalks, make sure this neighborhood is policed, whatever that looks like. There are people who are there during the creation. I want to create things with my life that are both art and also can be enjoyed, in a much further future than maybe even my generation or another generation. I find it very extractive to expect everyone to do everything for me, right? It's a huge continent. We have 1.5 billion people. Everyone needs to go to school. Everyone needs to be in a house. We need to transport people. I'm just seeing opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So if I show
growing
up to,
population, demographic dividend,
everything is like opportunity,
right,
right?
Right. Okay. And so, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about making the transition, like from the diaspora back to the continent?
So there are a few traits that I see.
Okay.
Make it sooner. So there is a magical number. If you're there like longer than maybe 15 years, it becomes really difficult to, most people get married, your kids are in school, you're stuck in your ways, then it becomes so much harder to transition. And while there is a lot of acceleration that happens year 1 to maybe 3 of being in a foreign country, it starts to decelerate. And your friends and family and classmates who stayed in the continent, I mean, their first 7 years is just like nothing's happening. Then they hit pay dirt and, they have houses, they have cars and all of that. So you find people who have lived in the diaspora a long time. If they come after 15 years, then it's very hard to catch up to people who've been here. The people finally figured themselves out. Land was expensive, longer, but they got it. Building a house was expensive, but they, by the time people get to like, let's say 40 something, they've stabilized, and actually, some of them are no longer paying rent. They own their houses outright. I mean, because we don't even have mortgages, people will like do whatever it takes, and then once you own your house, like done. Pretty soon kids leave, and then all you do is golf, right? You can't finding golfing time in the US is impossible. I mean, you can see. I mean, time. People control their time here.
True. So, make the move early.
Make the move early. Okay, sorry, I was meant to give you more. Make the move early. Be humble, because there's a lot to learn. It's a two-way street. There is a lot, I think, so globally acceptable ways of doing things, people who live in the diaspora can really help the continent. So this is how to finance a deal. This is how to educate a child. This, there are ways that we can help, when we bring that brain trust. Maybe it's the opposite, because right now we're seeing places like Lagos lose a lot of like talent. So people who didn't live, and this is something that's happening globally with Brexit. A lot of the Europeans left London, so they're looking for replacement talent. Canada, and Australia, they are growing at a much faster pace than they can, create
supply
their own
workforce.
Supply their own workforce. So there is, there is an exodus, but it's not happening so much in like places that have figured things out. Like Nairobi now is not a place where you're seeing an exodus, but I was in Lagos last week, and everyone you talk to, they're like, okay, I'm dosing out.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
scary. It's a scary thing. Yeah, we need to reduce some of that.
Yeah. Totally. So make the move early and be humble.
Be humble.
Yeah.
I'd also say, do it for yourself. Do it for yourself because, I was in New York in December. And I am staying in the Upper West Side, I'm feeling, as an African, I made it. I can afford the hotel that I want to stay in. I'm working with the people I want to work with. I'm invited
Central
to offices.
Park is right
I'm just like running to Central Park before, I have my coffee and go to my desk. And a lot of people kind of dream that this is, the apex of kind of like where they want to be. Then I needed to travel again. So I walk into a drugstore. I usually buy like granola bars on my way out, so I have my headphones on, and it's December, so it's getting cold. So I have kind of like my headgear and a bag. And as soon as I started taking the granola bars, 2 security guys come next to me and they're like, okay, whatever you're stealing from us, you need to put it back. I looked at them, I'm like, okay, whatever shenanigans you do here, just wait 3 days till I leave the country and you can get back to your normal programming.
Right,
it's kind of like there are a lot of friction points of being a minority in the West that you can designed for. You know, you put on nice clothes, you always
you're gonna wear a three-piece suit to the drugstore, please. But
no, but that's what I'm saying.
I know
like when I wake up in Nairobi, I'm not thinking, the police is, like it's just not a thing, and I have a lot of friends from the US who, people of color, they come to Africa and I'm like, oh, this is what it should be like to live in a society where people are not judging you for who you are, or where you don't have glass ceilings and stuff, So some of the reasons I consider myself a third culture person. I don't fit in quite well here, I don't fit in quite well there, but some of the reason to spend more time in the continent is just because people see you for you. True. Like see you, for who you are.
True. Yeah, and I think people discount the mental load of,
oh my Lord.
They discount the mental load of like carrying that, while you're driving in the office.
So that evening I had dinner with someone.
Yeah.
And they're like, why are you shaking? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's just kind of like I'm just anxious being here because I was having a good day, then not a good day, right?
Totally.
It's just, and don't get me wrong, there are bad days everywhere. So I'm not trying to paint this as a rosy situation here.
Right.
We still haven't figured out some things. We need better ambulance systems. We need better, there are those things that we need better off in Africa, but I'm not getting shot on my way to a drugstore. That is just not happening. So that's the way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I hope this is the kind of podcast we can talk. We can be frank about things like this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, it will resonate with the audience because they have to live this every day, the folks in the diaspora.
Yes.
Okay.